Hello YouTube, it's me, Brittany, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about why I think the gaming community is the most diverse and accepting community of trans people and pretty much all people in general. But before we get into that, I got some other things to talk about. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to every single one of you who've already subscribed. I love all of you. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time watching, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button below so that you can see more videos from me. I have tons of videos that I've made in the past, lots of LGBT related things, as well as some of my comedy is on there. But yeah, you can't do any of that unless you hit subscribe. So, since I was just talking about comedy, let's bring that up because that's the first thing I really want to talk about before I get into my main topic today. But basically, so some of you may know that I've recently was just in a comedy festival. It's kind of why I haven't done a video in a while. I've been really kind of busy with workshops and I've had 4 different shows in the last 2 weeks as well. And balancing some softball out here as well, so there's lots of things been going on. I've been really kind of busy, and I'm so sorry this is a video that is, you know, almost like a week and a half since my last video. I'm gonna get better, I promise, and I'm gonna tell you about some of those things that I'm gonna do now. But first, let me tell you about the Burbank Comedy Festival. So this was my very first comedy festival that I had ever entered, and some of you may know that I was actually supposed to start doing this festival back in April of this year, and that was canceled due to coronavirus, and then the entire festival was originally canceled, and then they decided, nope, we're gonna do it virtually, and so they had a 2-week festival with 250 comics, and they chose about 30 comics to be best of the fest comics, and your girl was one of them. Bam! I told y'all I was funny. But with that comes a little bit of consequences for you guys. It means that I will no longer be posting full sets that I do here on my YouTube. I will post some clips here and there. However, I am speaking with possible representation right now to be doing comedy on a more full-time basis, and if that's the case, I will gladly offer discounted tickets to shows where I will be performing to some of my subscribers for sure. However, I will not be giving away my content for free, as a class that I took during this comedy festival told me that was not smart. And I feel like I kind of agree with it. It might not have been the smartest thing, but really I'm just trying to promote myself in my early career, so I will still post clips of some of my sets, but I will not be posting the entire sets anymore. So therefore, if you do want to see my comedy, you will have to actually come and see me. So I hope that that is something you're willing to do. But that is part of because I was named Best of the Fest of the Burbank Comedy Festival. I did 4 different shows. I killed every single one of them. I am bragging on myself a little bit, but I feel like not only was I best of the fest, I think I was best of the fest. But that's just me being a little bit braggy on myself, and I felt like I just did a really good job in all of my sets that I did. Yeah, so that out of the way, let's get into our main topic today, and that is why I think the gaming community is the most diverse and accepting community to trans, and not just trans, but all other types of minorities out there. So some of you may know and some of you may not know. Most of you probably don't know, but Brittany is actually a gamer girl. So she plays games quite often, and she spends generally sometimes 5 to 6 hours overnight on her nights off on her PlayStation. So I'm a PlayStation 4 girl. I have played Xbox in the past. I've never done anything PC. I am not good with computers, hence I do all of my work for YouTube on a phone. With that being said, I will be providing my gamer tag for you guys now in the future. If you guys are interested, you're gaming and you play some of the games that I play, which I'll tell you in a second, and you would like to play with me, I'm totally open to adding you as a friend on my games. But anyways, so I have been playing, I personally generally play mostly first-person shooter games. Like Warzone, Battlefield, things like those. Those are things that I've just always been playing since I was, you know, young and in my early 20s and I first started gaming. And so those things that have kind of just progressed. I also play a lot of sports games because I'm an athlete, so I like to play sports. My probably secret crush would be Assassin's Creed, which is nothing compared to any other types of games I play, but for some reason I just love that franchise, so I have and played every single one of those games. Anyways, what I'm getting at is when you go online to play, especially as a trans woman, it can be very frustrating, especially playing online with people you've never met before. Now, granted, in Warzone, I get randomly thrown in with people all the time, and I get misgendered throughout like maybe a 10-minute game. Now, in this instance, I don't really care, because as a gamer myself, I'm not there to be gendered. I'm not there to be a specific gender in general. Like, I'm there to be a gamer and win the game. So I can get over someone who just met me via my voice, calling me, hey, he, or something like that when trying to refer to me to another teammate or something. Like, that doesn't really get to me as far as gaming goes. However, what I really want to say is that, like, that's just random strangers. So random strangers, I don't really care. However, occasionally in games like Warzone, which I do play quite often nowadays, you find people who play well and then you join up. What makes me feel like this community is very, very diverse is Warzone is a very manly, it's just I don't really know how to say it, but like, first off, girls don't get much respect in games like that, and it's very frustrating for girls like myself and all other girls. But when you tell someone that you're trans in a game, my first initial reaction to something like that was that they would immediately just stop playing with me. But it turns out that that's never ever been the case. In the last 3 or 4 years that I've been gaming, I've met up with a bunch of people online, and I've played games with them for weeks and months on a time. We've played over and over and over because gamers don't care. That's what makes it such a great community, is they don't really care who you are. They just want to know if you can play the game. And if you can play the game, they're happy to play with you, whoever you are. So what I'm saying is that, like, I play with these strangers and I don't really care. But once I join into a party and I meet friends, I don't have to tell them more than once that I'm a trans woman. I just have to say, hey, I know that you guys might have thought this while we were playing as strangers, but now that we're going to be playing together, I just want you to know that I'm actually a girl, and my voice might be deceiving. And then I also give them passes, like, most of the time. Like, I understand that it might be difficult for you to deal with that, and so, like, if you slip and you call me he or whatever, I'm not gonna get angry with you. Let's just play the game. So but what ends up really happening is these players make actual efforts to gender me correctly, even though they only hear my voice. So, like, it really opens my eyes to see how it really is ignorance from people who just choose to not accept my gender and misgender me, even at my own work. And they think that that's okay, because here are gamers who I've never met in person. They've never seen me ever in my life, unless I just happen to say, hey, look me up on Facebook or something and you can see my face. But all it takes is me saying, hey, just BTW, I'm a trans woman, I go by she, her pronouns, and they're like, awesome, cool, whatever, let's make the switch. And they do that. And, like, recently I was playing with some African American men. The race doesn't really matter, but you could tell definitely by their voice that they were African American. And but really, what the whole point is, that I was playing with a group of really, it could have been white, it could have been Mexican, could have been anything, but they were very rough and tough sounding guys. And I played with them in a game, and then they picked me up, and we played together for about 2 hours straight. But when they picked me up, I told them that I was trans, and I was scared, because I'm like, first off, this is a really rough and tough sounding group, but they were really good. They're really good. We just won a match together. So, like, yeah, let's keep playing. And it turned out that all it took for me is to say, hey, I'm a trans woman, and maybe a small little conversation of 5 minutes before our next game started. And then literally in the next game, you know, the players were like, all right, let's go, boys. I mean, boys and girl, you know, like, they were making efforts to change, even though I had said, hey, you know, you can say let's go, boys. Like, that's not a big deal to me in a game that we're playing and we're all male characters. You know, so, like, it's not a big deal. Like, that, like, let's go guys or let's go boys, to me is more of like a an encouragement term. It's not a gender term. I also have no problem being called bro or dude, because I also think that those are more gamer reaction terms than gender terms, especially in gaming. So like, it's different in real life. So like, if somebody's standing in front of me and they're calling me bro over and over and over, like, that's a different situation. But playing in a game, when, you know, I died and I was trying to revive my teammate or something like that, and we both died, and my teammate goes, bro, you know, like, that is not going to offend me, because he's just reacting, you know, to the activity. He's not necessarily reacting to me in general. So like, I personally feel more comfortable in a gaming world dealing with strangers than I do in the real world, because in the real world, strangers tend to be a lot more meaner to trans people, like, because they see them and they feel like they can just be rude and obnoxious to them for no reason, and you just don't see that in the gamer world. And like, I don't really have any other points to make from this video. I just kind of wanted to point it out that if you are into gaming, or if you're thinking of getting into gaming and you're trans or LGBT or any of those things, like, feel free to feel comfortable in that world, because it is a very accepting world. Now, there are bad apples everywhere, so you just have to be careful of them, but the majority of gamers out there just want to know if you can play. So, that's what I have to say today. I love every single one of you guys, and as promised, I will give you my gamer tag. It is Green Eggs and Brit, and it is right down there below you. You can add me on whatever thing I do crossplay, at least in Warzone and things like that. Don't forget that my Facebook is Brittany Rose. You can add me there. My Twitter is @BrittanyRose2. Instagram is Brittany Rose. Don't forget to hit subscribe. I love every single one of you guys. Thanks, and bye-bye.